Hey guys, SMG here, and today I'm going to do another tutorial for Age of Mythology Retooled's editor. We're going to be focused mostly around objects today. To start us off, I would like to show you guys how to get into objects in the first place. So you see this little dude up here, just has his arms behind his back, it looks like. That's how you get into the objects. There's another way as well. You go up to here, objects, place objects. And another thing before I move on, if you ever want to close out of these menus, all you have to do is hit escape, or you can center click to get out of the menu. It takes 2 center clicks to get out of the menu. All right, moving on. Next, we're going to be placing a town center. So to easily find your town center, let's go to buildings. We do have units, nature, embellishments as well. But we're going to be starting off in buildings. All right, there's a large list of buildings we can choose from, but I'm just looking for town center. So to easily find town center, I'm just going to type in T on the keyboard. And as you can see, town center is right here. And we're going to have team 1 down here. And then we're going to switch to team 2 and place their town center up here. All right, so next I would like to give them some sentry towers. Maybe defend their base. So let's look for sentry towers, type in S. There it is. Give team 2 a couple sentry towers. Let's switch back to player 1. Give them a couple sentry towers. 4 because player 1 is better, obviously. They deserve better. Alright, now with these objects, you can rotate them around with the center wheel. As well, if you really wanted to, you can go up to here, position object. You click on the object you want to position, or reposition rather, and then you can scroll your wheel and it'll allow you to rotate. You can also control and then use your arrow keys to scroll it slower if you want a more precise scroll, or rotate rather. There is more that you can do with the move objects. So normally you're not able to like place objects in the water. It just doesn't let you. If you really wanted to, just go ahead and place down any object that you want. And then you're gonna reposition your object. And then you can just move it wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. Now, training the units, they're not gonna work. They're not gonna work in the water. They'll just be stuck in place as soon as you train them. So I don't recommend placing objects like the temple in the water unless it's just for unless you just want it for looks or something along those lines. There's more that you can do with the move objects. So let's say if I had a palace, oh, it's right there. I place 4 of them down. And then I could actually combine these objects. Well, it's not technically combining, but I'm moving them into each other. And it can make your map look really nice sometimes. Give it a nice aesthetic. And it can actually line these up really nice. I didn't do it so well now, it takes a minute, but you can line these up nice and make your own unique looking buildings. I could even, if I really wanted to, I could put my town center in there. I don't know why I'd want to, but if you did, that's on you. I could place the sentry towers in there. We need some resources on this map, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back into place objects, and then I'm going to go to nature. So the first thing that comes to mind is food. So go ahead and find the food of your choosing. It could be elk, could be deer, could be goats, pigs. I'm going to go with goats. I'm going to change it to nature so it's not on by default having it on a certain team. It's basically just the passive units. And place 5 there and give the enemy some as well. And then next I'm going to place some fish around the map. And let's see, let's go with salmon. Just as easy as clicking in the water. Let's give them quite a bit of fish. Now, if you do want to, there are trees in the nature tab as well. Any kind you can think of that is in the game. But there's actually an easier way of placing trees rather than placing them individually like that. You go up to here, the forest tool, and you choose what type of forest you want for your map. Now, it doesn't matter if you mix and match. It can throw out the vibe sometimes, but whatever works for you guys. Let's go with Greek oak. And on the top right corner, you can change the brush size. Change the shape. You can even make it hollow if you really wanted to. I'm just going to stick with circle. Give them some nice trees. I've got all the wood they'll ever need right there. And since I don't like the enemy team so much, we're just going to give them a little bit. I'm giving myself a little advantage here. Alright, so my next tip of advice would be to save often. I know I mentioned this in my previous video, but oftentimes with moving objects, it can be a little bit of a hassle. So especially when you move one object past another, maybe you accidentally grab the wrong object, or you screw up like a whole wall or something like that, and walls can be kind of annoying to build in the editor sometimes. So just make sure you're saving, I'd say every 15 minutes or so, especially when you're moving objects around like that. So let me place down some units for you guys. So we're going to go player 1, because I want player 1 to have the units. I'm going to go into units, and let's go with, what are they called? Hoplites, I believe that's what they're called. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of an army here. Now I can individually place them like this, or to make it faster for myself, I exit out of that menu, highlight them all. You can Control C, Control V to copy and paste them. And I know they're showing in red, but they'll paste wherever you want. I don't believe you can paste. Oh no, that's changed. You can place them inside each other. That's pretty cool. You can even place them in the water if you want to, although I don't think that would work very well for you. So let's go ahead and delete those. And deleting objects is actually pretty simple. There is this tool right here that lets you delete a large amount of objects. So let's say I wanted to make a clearing in the trees, I could do that. Or if I wanted to just clear out some of my enemies. As you guys can see, there's no brush settings that pop up right away. So all you'd want to do to get a smaller brush is go up to here, to this setting right here. It says brush settings. And it's going to allow you to change the size of your brush. And this will work for anything that needs a brush, like this one does. I'll change it to square. I already showed you that. And I can make my brush really small so I can get fine-tuned with my deleting. And if I wanted anything back, if I messed up, I could hit the undo button. Give me some of my units back. Another way of deleting units, or really any object, you can highlight them and hit the delete button on your keyboard. A very easy way to delete them. Same goes for anything else you can place. So trees, just hit delete. I kind of wanted them there, so I'm going to hit undo. You can also hit redo if you wanted to redo whatever you just did. Same with buildings. You can highlight them and delete them. You could also highlight pretty much everything you have and just move it somewhere else with move objects tool, or position objects tool rather. There you go. Keep in mind, the more objects you have highlighted, the slower the game will be. It can lag sometimes. So there's one other building I wanted to talk about in specific. It is going to be your docks. So you see here, you can't, just like in any other game mode, you cannot place them on land, nor can you just place them in water. It has to be right on the ledge. But again, you can move it anywhere you want after you place them initially on the ledge of the water. You can move them to land, which I don't recommend, or you can move them into the sea, which would work fine. You could even, let's control C, and then let's exit out of the move objects, and then control C, control V, and we can get another copy. So let me place down a few. And we can make like a little sea base out of it if we wanted to, placing the buildings into each other. Not going to make anything too fancy here. Alright, so next I want to put some more resources around the map. So to do that, I'm going to go into nature, and then I'm going to place some gold mines first. So I'm going to hit G to find the G section. Let's search for gold mines. There are 3 different types of gold mines. I believe there's actually 4. But we only really need the 3 for now. I'm going to go with gold mine large. Gold mine medium has a little less gold. Gold mine small, pretty self-explanatory, has even less gold. I'm going to go with large. I'm going to give them a gold mine right up here. And maybe 2. Give myself a little bit of gold as well. Now, keep in mind when you want to use AI with an enemy team or something along those lines, or even an ally, you want to make sure they have gold around their base, you want to make sure they have food around their base, and you want to make sure they have wood around their base. If not, the AI likes to break. Or, on the other hand, you could always go up to scenario, clear data, and you can load them up with food, wood, gold. But I believe sometimes they still get bugged out, so I would recommend always having resources next to the AI base if you want them to perform correctly. Alright, now that we've gave ourselves some resources, I actually want to give us some more deer around the map, so let's search for deer. I'm going to type in D to quickly go to the D section. And then I'm going to switch this to nature because I don't want the deer to be on my team, or player one's team rather. So we'll rotate them around to make look a little bit more natural. Same with up here, give them some deer up here. And maybe some individual ones that are just lone wolves, or lone deer rather. So another thing to show you before we move on. If an object has a different form, like deer, you can right click to go through their other forms. Most objects only have one form, like the sentry tower. Right clicking will do nothing, but as for deer, you can switch to the male deer or the female deer if you prefer. Alright, so next up is embellishments. And basically all embellishments are the decorative objects that you will find in the campaign and somewhat in scrimmages. So for example, I could pull up a barrel and make my place look nice and spiffy, look lived in. We can pull up some crates, put some of those down. Again, right clicking will change the form. So I could have a closed box, or I can have an open box looking like it's full of some sort of fruit. There are fences you can place down as well. Now these are actually kind of annoying to get lined up, but I could, if I wanted to, I could right click and change the form. I could build a fence all the way across, but this will require me to move the objects into place. So I would place them down like that. And then before clicking on that, I could zoom in to get a better view. And then go ahead and line them up with the cliff side. And you are able to break these ones in game, these walls. Now, I'm not going to get them perfectly lined up here, but just as an example for you guys. Not going to look the greatest either. Hey, look at that, just enough. And it's okay if they phase together a little bit. Alright, while recording this video, I just realized that you can actually check this box down here, ignore placement restrictions. I had it checked already. Let me go ahead and check that. So it should look like that when you want to activate it. And what this will do, it'll make it so you can place anything anywhere. So if you want to armor in the water, if you want it on the side of this cliff, although it will deform it. If you want it in the woods or in the palaces, you could do that. Go ahead and delete those. The next thing I wanted to cover was the terrain grid. So let's say you wanted to line some objects up really nicely. Put a few of them down. I'll zoom in a little so you get a better view. I can line them up with this blue line right here. Give myself a better idea of where everything's at. I'll delete these. Alright, next on the list, if you wanted to, let's say, have more precise movement when you're wanting to repositioning like an object or unit or something along those lines, you would go to Object, Advanced Transformation Tool, enable Gizmo, and from here you're going to select the unit that you want to move, and you can move them on the Z-axis, the Y-axis, or excuse me, the X-axis. You're unable to move them on the Y-axis though. You can also hit scale, and what this will do is you're able to change the unit scale. So let's say you wanted them larger in every single axis. You hit the center dot right there, and you drag. Now you're able to increase their size through one axis at a time as well. So if you just wanted them larger in the y-axis, you could do that. And same goes for the other axis, X and the Z-axis. So we could have a Titan hoplite over here if we really wanted to. And now just make sure, this can mess you up sometimes, so make sure if you don't want it on, make sure you check it off. And it will no longer appear. Another thing you can do, you can convert objects. So let's say I no longer wanted these hoplites to be on player 1's team. I can make them on player 2's team just by a click of the button. Same goes for anything else really. And I can convert them back. Next on the list. Alright, so next is object info, which is going to be under objects, object info, and this will tell you everything you need to know about this object, any triggers that are linked to this object, and as well as you can type notes. And so let's say you wanted to keep this unit in mind for some reason. I could type this unit is number 1, and it will save under that for you for later. Let's go back into it. Object info. See, it's still there. And another thing, replacing units. So if I have a source unit like these hoplites, I can actually replace them. Dash. Don't know why that was there. And I can choose from any of the other units, and let's choose the Anubite. Let's replace them with that. And now we have an army full of Anubites. Alright, last thing I wanted to cover before I go. Excuse me. Go under nature and pull up a relic. Let's put our nature. I'm gonna put it anywhere. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change what type of relic this is. I'm going to go to objects, and then I'm going to go to relic editor, and make sure you have the relic highlighted. And you're able to choose what type of relic it is. So as of default, all the relics are on random, so they'll be random every single game playthrough. So let's change it to something specific. Yeah, myth units cost less favor. And then to set it as this relic type, I would just hit set to selected type. And if you ever need to find the relic for some reason, you just hit find next to select type. And same would go if I had like two of the same exact relics on the map, it would cycle between them. Alright guys, that's it for today's tutorial. I do have 2 more tutorials planned for the future for the editor. I would like to do a tutorial covering terrain and another tutorial covering triggers. But besides that, I have nothing else planned except for some Let's Plays and maybe some challenge videos. So if you guys would like to see any of that, please stick around, subscribe, and leave a like for me. I'll catch you in the next video. Bye-bye.